Back. Congress returns this week for what promises to be a sprint to the end, whenever that is, while the Virginia and New Jersey gubernatorial dash is 8 weeks away. Our own two versions of Usain Bolt are Lizzie O'Leary and Heidi Presbella. Lizzie, September 15th deadline, supposedly, for the final Senate committee action. Is it going to happen?
I think a deadline is only a deadline in politics until it's not. I mean, the final deadline is actually October 15th. That's when, by budget rules, they'd have to make a call about whether they were going to go the reconciliation route or not. September 15th is out there to try to get people in this last-ditch effort to come together. So far, they're not there.
But if they want to have any semi-bipartisan accord, semi-bipartisan meaning you have got a handful of Republicans,
right,
they really have to come to some kind of a deal by mid-September, roughly, don't they?
They would have to come to some kind of a deal. Remember, none of these preceding bills, the House bills, got any Republican support, and there are about 70 Democrats, conservative Democrats, who've already been targeted by the Republicans for the congressional races next year, and they're being squeezed on this. So it's all over the place. Well,
reconciliation is the parliamentary term procedure used to do it in a party line vote.
Yeah.
50 votes rather than 60. Some people say it's a time bomb. Is it? And what are the possibilities?
It is and it isn't. Look, I think talking to analysts, they basically give this report that reconciliation has a real danger to it because it plays into this narrative that it's something processy and confusing, and Washington is moving fast without listening to the voice of the people. It plays right into the idea of bank bailouts, auto bailouts, all this kind of scary stuff that didn't listen to those town hall voices.
Well, reconciliation, according to Republicans, would be the time bomb. Democrats say that, no, it's been used before. Who has history on their side? Is it an unusual device, or is it something that's been used, if not routinely, at least more than a few times?
It's used pretty routinely. From 1980 to 2008, 22 times. Vetoed 3 times in that
Any
realm.
big measures?
Some very big measures. Welfare reform was in there, under President Clinton. President Bush's tax cuts, 1 and 2, both in there. And probably one of the healthcare things people know the best, COBRA, actually is Consolidated Omnibus Budget Resolution Act, Reconciliation Act of 1985. So
that's good.
It's a common tactic. Both parties have used it. Anyone's lying if they say they haven't.
After healthcare, waiting in the wings, anything?
Financial regulatory reform, and that could actually get sprung a little earlier. Look, if healthcare starts to bleed very badly, there are senior Hill aides who are ready, and Barney Frank is ready to tee up at least portions of that financial reform bill. If the White House needs a win, they can get that one through. Yeah. Okay, Heidi, first we're going to have 2 governorships decided this year, both now held by Democrats, New Jersey and Virginia. Is the Democratic Party in trouble in both states?
Well, according to the poll figures, both Democrats are struggling. In New Jersey, Corzine's down by about 10 points. In Virginia, Deeds is down by even more than that. And I had lunch the other day with Deeds' campaign manager, and he said, look, I think there's 2 things going on here that really track very much what's going on nationally. And that is, one, independent voters who had gone for Obama are now getting cold feet about some of his policies on health care, on the stimulus, and on the bailouts. And the second thing is that Republicans are using those same issues, and they're, in his words, hyper-motivated now to come out, which we haven't seen in quite a while.
Let me talk about New Jersey for a minute. 2 quick questions. One, some Democrats have told me that actually the race has tightened some, not because Corzine is a day at the beach, but because they have really managed to trash the Republican opponent. It's not a very edifying process, but is that, does Christie, the challenger there, have his own set of problems?
We're starting to see it tighten up. And Al, I mean, at the end of the day, New Jersey is a very Democratic state. It's a state not only that favors Democrats, but favors incumbents. And both of those things bode well for Corzine. So a lot of the analysts I talk to say that they would be surprised if, at the end of the day, despite these polls, Corzine didn't pull it out.
Yeah. Is Obama a plus or minus in New Jersey?
In New Jersey, he's a very big plus, and you see the Corzine campaign taking full advantage of that.
And trying to talk about Christie, the Republican candidate, as a apostle of George W. Bush and Karl Rove.
Right. I think we're kind
back
of
to
in this,
yesterday.
We're kind of in this netherworld, Al,
right,
where there's still a lot of Democrats who respond very much so to George W. Bush, because there's some independents and Republicans who want to move on and say, you know, this is Obama's fault that he hasn't fixed the problems in the economy. At the end of the day, George W. Bush is still very effective.
Okay, let's go to my birth state, along with Jefferson and Madison and a few others. Virginia, it was a very red state for many, many years. It's become purple. Some even thought blue. Is it turning back now?
I don't think it's turning back, because the definition of purple is that it can go either way.
That's true.
And so what we're seeing here now are just, again, these independent voters who have gone heavily for Obama now moving back a bit and getting cold feet. And there's another thing that's going on in Virginia that's very interesting. The Deeds campaign is now taking out radio advertisements to target African Americans, because those African Americans who were so crucial to Obama are now sitting on their feet a little bit when it comes to some of the down ballot candidates.
Is this race a harbinger for Virginia next year, 2 or 3 years from now?
You know, Al, no matter what happens, people are going to make a lot out of these races, and it's going to be spun both ways. But at the end of the day, just remember a little bit of trivia, and that is that in the past 11 New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial elections, only 2 have really been harbingers of the upcoming midterm elections. And in Virginia also, there's a very strong history of electing governors of the party that is outside the White House.
Right.
And we've seen that for 30 years.
Yeah, so what you're telling us is that Virginia is tough for Democrats, but don't count out Corzine yet in New Jersey.
Absolutely. I mean, the history there has been, even though there's tight poll numbers, if there's a high turnout, that's always going to favor the Democrat, because they have the numbers. There's a 650,000 voter registration in New Jersey for Democrats.
Okay, well, I favor Lizzie O'Leary and Heidi Brisbella. Thank you for being with us.